All right, so we're doing this a little bit differently today. I'm Gregory Bex. I'll be presenting about arson. I called it on fire because, in a sense, everything is on fire when it's happening with an arson. I was planning on doing this about 45 minutes ago at my home. I had showered and gotten prepared, everything, all of that. And then I was told, hey, you have to come into work. You work today. So we're doing this from the Home 2 Suites in Madison. So hopefully we don't have to deal with a whole lot too much. Bear with me as I'm trying to present this. If somebody is ever coming over, I've got a camera over there. I'll probably edit it out, but I'll just make sure that we're keeping it. I'm currently being held up by 2 boxes. So bear with me as I have that with a laptop holding up my iPhone. And we have people passing by periodically. So ignore those. We'll be just focusing on our presentation today. And I'll edit out anything if there's ever something that's like, oh, I need to leave. So we'll be all set to go. But basically, my presentation is about arson. Why did I want to do a presentation about arson as my final project? The reason that I really wanted to do it, I remember watching a lot of mob movies as a kid, really big into a bunch of stuff like that. So I was always seeing these houses get burned down and these businesses kind of like as a, hey, I'm threatening you kind of thing. So it was definitely something that had interested me as a child. And I always wondered what was the punishments or punitive stuff when it came to arson. So basically our beauty about arson is that it's basically setting a property on fire, whether it's with an explosive like a Molotov cocktail or a grenade, or if it were just be setting it with fire, as regular just setting something over, those would be considered anything that would be involving. In the state of Wisconsin, it is considered a Class C felony if you use it with explosives. Same thing would go if you were using it with fire. It's typically done on buildings and stores, though it can also be on homes, and if it's with people in there, typically you'd have more charges on there. But if it causes injury, it would be, if it was an arson injury, it would basically be suspected and charged with an additional Class I felony, likely a civil lawsuit as well that they would most likely lose because there's a lot of insurmountable evidence that would be gained towards that. And typically the damage is to property by fire, so it's more focused on that. And if you were to ever get a Class C felony, you'd be in a lot of trouble. If it has anything more than $100, it's considered a Class C felony. So basically don't do it. Apologies for that blip. That'll probably be something to edit out though anyways. But otherwise, the routine activities theory, it's basically geared towards thinking that there are 3 specific parts that all have to co-inspire together in order for crime to exist. That would be a likely offender. So the likely offender, you'd be thinking about somebody who wants to commit that crime, someone who wants to commit arson or something like that. A suitable target, this could be a building. This could potentially even be a house or something like that. Typically, the suitable target is deemed towards those kinds of structures that would be caused to set fire. In the absence of a capable guardian, that would be a security guard, any police officers. It could also be geared towards losing out on any kind of lighting or anything like that, as it's been shown and proved that lighting actually reduces crime significantly. So typically that's why crime isn't committed in the daytime. And at nighttime, if there are streetlights and stuff like that around, so if there was ever, per se, a sexual assault or something like that, there would typically, when there's light present or streetlights or anything like that, it typically prevents a lot of crime from ever actually transpiring. Now, obviously, those are, of course, the 3 main aspects. It also gears towards whatever time that it is during the day or wherever people are going. It kind of transpires around if someone is always gone at this specific time from this building, would per se be a really good opportunity for a crime to be committed by, per se, an arsonist. If it's 2 a.m. and the building is closed, they know they don't have video cameras or anything like that. They know that they don't have security guards. They know there's nobody in there that could ever see anything that's ever committed. Or if they were doing it themselves, they would know that they'd be able to get away with stuff like that as well. So why it relates to that, of course, this could impact why they would attack the building or store by way of knowing where the store merchant or victim travels to. Could lead to an arsonist recurring while victim is even in the property, which they are in such store. Now, obviously, that would be different crimes that we're not going to get into as far as this clip, because we are more so focused on just the arson itself. We're not focused on assault, we're not focused on death or anything like that. We're just focused on the burning of the actual building. Now, obviously, we're moving on to the strain theory, Merton's strain theory specifically in examples. It is typically geared a lot towards thinking that if the pressure is derived from social factors such as lack of income or quality education, it also drives individuals to commit crime more. So if you're ever dealing with any kind of financial issues, if there's a little bit of a financial struggle, if you're dealing with any lack of positive stimuli or anything like that as well, it typically gears towards people who would be more likely to commit crime that way. If you're struggling for money and you own a business and you would get a lot of money from anything that would possibly involve your insurance or anything like that from a fire, you might be desperate enough to cause it to your own fire. You would get a whole new business and everything like that, and you get even more money on top of that. That would help these everlasting and recurring bill payments that you potentially have from other things that are going on inside of your life, because it's really difficult to run a business from what I'm made of. The 3 strains are to lead to crime are the inability to achieve one's goals. So this could be somebody who has been pushed away from society in general, someone who's not used to ever being part of society, that has had multiple outcomes that they've done inside of their life that makes society kind of push them to the side. So someone who ever lacks those and lacks the society and lacks the abilities typically does not do a whole lot as far as committing or contributing to society. So being able to do that and not being able to contribute to society, well, you're not really producing a whole lot of stuff for you to do inside of your life. So that leads to lack of abilities to achieve one's goals. Loss of positive stimuli. This could be involved from depression. This could be involved from those actual crimes and the ability to achieve one's inner goals. So that could lead you to a lot of depression. That could lead you to be a little bit more upset, which would lead you to lack any kind of positive stimuli. If things are going wrong for you, these bills are piling up or anything like that, could lead you to start feeling a little bit more negative, which would lead to the presentation of of negative stimuli. This would be geared towards, if again, leading to this lack of positive stimuli, you start developing negative ones. So you start getting more anger, you start gearing towards stuff, you get more depression and stuff like that. You start gearing yourself more towards committing those strain theories and committing more of those crimes. Obviously, why arson relates to strain theory. Financial issues, I already talked a little bit more about those. They can be pretty tough for an individual to have to deal with a lot of financial issues. And when there's such a quick fix that is super illegal, but you know you can get the fix if you know you can get away with it, a lot of people tend to gear towards committing those kinds of crimes. They may own the store and set it on fire themselves. It could be a suspect feeling a lack of purpose in life and maybe ruining properties that gives them another sense of purpose. This could be something else. It could be geared towards, like I had mentioned earlier, someone is causing pain to you, like if you're in a mob or something like that. They're gearing pain towards your entire entity, your entire business. So setting arson to their place might show them or bring down their own kind of business and put yourself a little bit higher up. So a lot of people can't tell if it's an arson or not, or who is the main culprit behind the arson, though technology has been getting significantly better towards finding a lot of those. Now, obviously, we have an example of the arson. This actually happened a year ago in Wisconsin, Moore area, Kenosha. We obviously know in the recent news, Kyle Rittenhouse has been involved after shooting protesters and stuff like that, and he ended up getting acquitted, blaming that it was just self-defense, and he ended up getting away with that. A lot of people disagree. A lot of people kind of agree as well at the same time. I'm not necessarily gearing towards that. I do not want to create a political statement as far as that. We're simply just talking about that Kenosha day where Jacob Blake was shot by police officers. Well, a lot of people believe were to be unjustly. A lot of people also were to believe justly. He was entering his car and he was shot 12 times in his back, which did not kill him. It just led him to paralysis and led him towards a lot of outrage as far as the world. So there were a lot of riots. There were a lot of protests going on. As you could imagine, typically, what do you think of when you think of riots? You think of burning. You think a lot of fire. You think of a fiery overall mess that's leading inside of a city. You just think of cities that are all on fire. I remember watching a SpongeBob episode where there was riots happening, and you just had all Bikini Bottom and pure flames. So everybody remembers a lot of that. It's typically that. This is one of those examples. Alan King, David Garner, Kevin Martinez, and Devin Vaughn, they all went from Minneapolis, Minnesota. They decided they wanted to drive all the way down to Kenosha, Wisconsin, because they were so outraged and stuff like that. But they also saw this more so of an opportunity to commit crime, to commit more stuff, because they also had been to jail previously in Minnesota. A lot of them had been previously, I believe, Kevin Martinez and David Garner had spent a lot of time in jail prior, so they were not contributing as far as society goes, and they were kind of upset with everything that was happening, so they saw this as an opportunity to commit a lot of crime. They ended up being charged with arson and conspiracy to commit arson. They committed fires at a bar. They also lit a furniture store on fire. They were also charged with arson. This happened in Kenosha, of course, so that was leading towards a lot of arson, leading towards putting things on fire, led to a lot of damages for a lot of other people. They did it out of outrage. They did it because they just wanted to create a scene and to have their names kind of known a little bit. They obviously did not expect to be caught. They were caught. Now, obviously, we have a lot of statistics. Everybody likes statistics. It's a little thing, I'm sure, when we're all writing on these things, 2 things that I learned and stuff like that. You can take a couple of things from here. So the first statistic I have is 39,851 arsons were committed in the United States in 2020. This could be, if you're guessing, it's a little bit higher than years prior. It could be guessing towards the pandemic, a lot of money troubles, could be gearing towards more of trying to get your business back, considering a lot of small businesses are going out of business due to the lack of an ability to sell a lot of stuff. Because everybody's inside, everybody was quarantined, everybody didn't want to go out and do things. So you could be causing fire to your place as the money starts racking up as far as debt goes. So that could be an issue. Obviously, we had a lot of protests throughout the entirety of the United States with Black Lives Matter movements, with a lot of civil unrest from unjust police shootings, unless police jet deaths, or the killings of a lot of innocent unarmed black people. Those could be geared towards those as well, bringing them up. So that would be another reason as to why those could possibly happen. Or it just could be overall that stats are typically going higher. There really isn't something that we can put ourselves set in stone that this is why, but those are things that could possibly be geared out towards that. Obviously, more than 42% of arson offenses were structures, 22% were mobile vehicles. So it does not have to be structures, it can also be cars, it can also be buildings, it can be street lights, it can be really anything as well. But mobile vehicles, aka cars, RVs, anything really that you can think of that would involve buses, all that fun stuff, those were typically set on fire as well. The average dollar loss for an average arson is $16,371. So quite a fair bit of money to be losing out on a structure, to be losing out on a lot of property and goods inside of a store or house or anything like that. Those are typically, it's a lot of money to end up losing. And most serial arsonists were found to be young white males. This is not a question as to knowing why or anything like that. There really isn't a huge reason as to why people believe that. It just happens to be the statistics that we have at the moment. But I hope you guys enjoyed my stuff. I know I have a little bit of a janky setup. I appreciate you guys listening out. If you are graduating like I am myself, congratulations. I'm super excited for you guys. I'll see you on Thursday at the graduation party and stuff like that and get our ceremony, get our degrees. I'm actually right by the Atlanta Energy Center. I can see it from my window right now, so we will be there pretty soon. If you are not, and this is you continuing your education, I wish you nothing but the best. Should be a lot of fun. I wish I got to meet a lot more of you people. I wish we would have been able to go to the campus and stuff like that, but that wasn't something that would have been safe for us to do. But otherwise, thank you for everything you guys have ever done. I'm sure all of you guys did a really freaking great job. So congratulations, and thank you for looking out for my arson essay. Thank you, guys.